I see. So now that your mom's back home with your dad and you're at college, where's the tension between you now?
Well, I mean, it's gotten better since the summer.
How so?
I was home all summer with my mom and dad. My mom's brother, Jimmy, also lives with us, and I was the only driver in the house, but was working full-time for one of my other uncles. My dad had to get radiation treatments 45 minutes away, 5 days a week, for 14 weeks, and I was responsible for taking him at least once a week. I wasn't bothered by it. I mean, it's my dad. I think it actually brought us closer. But after he completed his treatments, he seemed great. He was perfectly healthy. Probably about 2 weeks after, though, when he got done, he got into this weird funk, and he just seemed really depressed, and that's when he started not eating or drinking as much. I know the doctors told us some of the side effects from the radiation would be a loss of appetite, especially from when he had to get it on his spine, because it really affected his esophagus and gave him heartburn. But it really started to decrease, and we just didn't know what to do with him. He started getting so dehydrated, and he would faint, and he would fall and get out of bed. He was so weak. He'd have fits of aphasia where he couldn't speak or see. It was really scary for me, but my mom just seemed so angry about it.
Where do you think her anger was coming from?
From him not caring enough to take care of himself.
And did this bother you?
At the time, not so much. I mean, I didn't see it the way everybody else did. Like I've mentioned before, I've always been Daddy's little girl, and I just couldn't bear to see him like this. I knew he was depressed because of his own illness, and the passing of his son that he never got to deal with, and his sister who died of cancer 4 months before he was diagnosed. I felt bad for him, and I was being protective, I guess, when everyone else was angry at him for not taking responsibility for himself.
And how do you think your mom felt about your opinion? Did that lead to more tension?
Oh yeah, that's where most of our recent tension stems from. My parents have always had a different kind of marriage. I mean, I know it's not normal. My dad's so quiet. My mom has always worn the pants in the relationship. She's very strong-minded, and he prefers to let her take care of everything while he sleeps or watches TV. It's kind of an ongoing joke that my uncle and I call them Mr. and Mrs. Bickerson, because they always go back and forth with each other. I knew my mom didn't like that I sided with him, and I didn't like that she was attacking him so much. I felt like she had no sympathy for him whatsoever, or even empathy, because she's sick too.
Sounds like there are a lot of feelings flying around. I'm wondering if you feel stuck in the middle.
Yeah, pretty much.
Tell me more about that.
Well, my dad wound up going to a rehab for about a month because he fell and fractured his back. The whole time he still wasn't eating or drinking enough. I mean, thankfully there were nurses there to make him take his medicine. My mom would find a way there every morning to go see him, and I would go every night after work at 6, but by the time I would get there, she'd be gone. So I'd ask him every day, how was Mom? And he'd just give me the same look or sigh that she was a pain and that she was miserable.
But how does that make you feel?
I was mad. I was mad at my mom because, from what I heard, she was being so inconsiderate of his feelings, and no matter what, he's my dad, and I'm going to defend him. I mean, she's my mom, and I love her too, but I just don't know why I felt like I had to side with him.
So, do you see a pattern?
What do you mean?
You're saying you're mad at your mom for being inconsiderate of her feelings, and you felt like you had to side with your father. Have you seen this in your past before?
Wow, I mean, I guess it comes from 4 years ago when she left. I felt abandoned by her with my father, and now that she came back, she was attacking him. I guess I kind of felt attacked too. I had to defend him.
So where did this lead?
Well, my mom and I had an emotional conversation about why she acted the way she did with my dad, being short with him and nagging. She explained to me that when I wasn't around, he wouldn't speak to her, wouldn't be grateful for her coming to visit him every day by inconveniencing other people that had to get her there. And the biggest factor of all, which I'm still feeling pretty salty about, is that she was worried about him not getting back to work, because then we would definitely lose our health insurance, and my mom really needs it for her MS.
So what does this newfound information about the way your dad treats your mom behind closed doors make you feel?
I felt really bad for her. I mean, I didn't realize how mean he was being to her. I guess I just didn't want to see it because I felt so bad for him at the time.
Was this a turning point for you?
Yeah, I mean, this is the point at the end of the summer when my mom and I started to get closer again, and although I still feel bad for what my dad is going through, because it's affecting all of us too, I can't help but be mad at him.
This seems like a good transition point to get more into your feelings towards your father. Tell me more about your relationship with him.
I mean, like I said, I've always been Daddy's little girl, and I was crushed when I heard the news in April, and even more crushed in May when I heard it was cancer. I cried by his bed so many times trying to talk to him, but he's just so closed off. Every time I tried to ask him why he wasn't taking care of himself, I got nothing from him.
You say your dad is closed off from communicating with you. I'm wondering why you're still so attached to him.
I just felt so bad for him, and I was sad. I didn't want to lose my dad, especially at his own will. He beat cancer, but he was down to 150 pounds because of his own will of not eating and was constantly dehydrated. It's like when you love someone so much and you just get mad at them for making the wrong decisions. I wanted so bad for him just to even care a little about his health.
Were you more upset with him for not caring about his own health or not caring about your feelings?
Both. Definitely both. I mean, a big part of my resentment towards my dad, even now, is he just didn't care. My mom and I had speculations that, like, maybe he just didn't want to go back to work and do the physical labor anymore, and that's why he was maybe purposely not getting better. But it's just so frustrating when I look at him as the provider for the family, and my mother physically cannot work because she never knows how she's going to feel in the morning. And it's like he's just too lazy to care. He doesn't even care that we've lost our health insurance because he didn't feel like going back to work.
So you're saying he said to you that he doesn't care?
No, I mean, he never really came right out and said it, but I told you, he's quiet, and talking to him is like talking to a brick wall. I probably asked him 100 times over if he even cared that we'd be losing so much if he didn't go back to work. He's 2 years away from retirement. I'm just so bitter that he couldn't just stick it out for another 2 years. Even if he doesn't care about himself, he's screwing over my mom and I. We have to pay for my college tuition, along with grad school, all the other bills, and my 2 sick parents' medical bills. Mom gets infusions 3 times a month. They're like $10,000 each. With no insurance, how the hell is she supposed to get them?
Wow. You really have a lot going on between your 2 parents and their health issues. Time is getting close to an end here, but I'm hearing a lot of strong emotions about your dad's actions, and I want to get into them just a little bit more. You're resentful and bitter, and yet you're still Daddy's little girl?
Yeah, I mean, I guess I can't help it. No matter how frustrated I get with him, I just can't be mad at him to his face. He's staying in West Virginia right now with my oldest brother to give my mom a break, and I heard he snuck cigarettes with them, which really pissed me off because he was supposed to quit before surgery. I've been pretty mad about that recently, so I've kind of avoided calling him.
I think before our next session, you should speak with your father. It doesn't have to be exactly about how you're feeling. You've told him that before, but just check in and see how he's doing. Try open up some line of communication. During our session today, I really liked that we got a chance to talk so much about your relationship with your parents, because even though you seem like you would like to improve them, you at least know where there is a mean or an opportunity to get some type of communication in. Next time, we can try working on coping with these strong emotions and expressing them in a way to the other members of your family so that they can understand where you're coming from and you can communicate on a better level. I also want to work with you with your siblings passing. I think that it will open a lot of doors as well.
Thank you so much. Like, I've been waiting to get that off my chest. When I talk to someone who is involved, it's not the same feeling of relief because they have their own opinions about the scenario.
No problem. I look forward to meeting with you next time. Have a good weekend.